Part 2 of Chapter 2 of How to Analyze People on Sight. This is a LibreVoice recording. All LibreVoice recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibreVoice.org. How to Analyze People on Sight through the Science of Human Analysis. The 5 Human Types by Elsie Lincoln Benedict and Ralph Payne Benedict. Section 6 of Chapter 2. Eliminating non-essentials. The big problem of individual success is the problem of eliminating non-essentials, of hewing to the line, letting the chips fall where they may. Most of the things that steal your time, strength, money, and energy are nothing but chips. If you pay too much attention to them, you will never hew out anything worthwhile. No vain regrets. If you are thoracic, don't regret the fact that you are not a one decision a year man, but try to make fewer and better decisions. Your quickness, if called into counsel, will enable you to see from what instincts your mistakes habitually arise and the direction in which most of them have pointed. And you will see this with so much greater dispatch than the average person that you will lose little time. You should begin today to analyze your most common error in judgment that you may guard against their recurrence. Always slightly thrilled. Even when apparently composed, the thoracic is always a wee bit thrilled. Everything he sees, hears, touches, tastes, or smells gives him such keen sensation that he lives momentarily in some kind of adventure. He languishes in an unchanging environment and finds monotony almost unbearable. Lights and shadows. Never 2 minutes the same fitly describe this type. He passes rapidly from one vivid sensation to another and expresses each one so completely that he is soon ready for the next. He has fewer complexes than any other type because he does not inhibit as much. The uncorked bottle. The lid is always off the thoracic. This being the case, he suffers little from mental congestion, though he sometimes pays a high price for his self-expression. Everybody is interesting. Most of us are much more interesting than the world suspects, but the world is not made up of mind readers. We keep our most interesting thoughts, the most interesting sides of ourselves, hidden away. Even your dearest friends are seldom given a peep into the actual you. And this despite the fact that we all recognize this as a deficiency in others. We bottle up ourselves and defy the world's corkscrews, all save the thoracic. He allows his associates to see much of what is passing in his mind all the time. Because we are all interested in the real individual and not in mass, this type is usually much sought after. No secretive. The thoracic does not by preference cover up. He does not by preference secret. He does not, except when necessary, keep his pen and ways dark. He is likely to tell not only his family but his nearest acquaintance just what he is planning to do and how he expects to do it. The naturally secretive person who regularly refers to a certain party when he has occasion to speak of another is the exact opposite of this type. His human interest. We are all interested in the little comings and goings of our friends. Upon this fact, every magazine and newspaper builds its human interest stories. We may be indifferent to what the President of the United States is doing about international relations, but what he had for breakfast is mightily interesting. Few people read inaugural addresses, significant though they often are to the world and to the reader himself. But if the President would write 10 volumes on just how I spend my Sundays, it would be a bestseller. Naturally confidential. Personal experiences, personal secrets, and personal preference are subjects we are all interested in. These are the very things in which the thoracic regales his friends and about which he is more frank and outspoken than any other type. He makes many friends by his obvious openness and his capacity for seeing the interesting details which others overlook. Charming conversationalist. Colorful, vivid words and phrases come easily to the tongue of this type, for he sees the unusual, the fascinating in everything. since anyone can make a thing interesting to others if he is really interested in it himself. The Thoracic makes others see and feel what he describes. He is therefore known as the most charming conversationalist. Beautiful voice. The most beautiful voice belong to people who are largely of this type. This is due, as we have said before, to physiological causes. The high chest, sensitive vocal cords, capacious sounding boards in the nose and roof of the mouth all tend to give the voice of the Thoracic many nuances and accents never found in other types. His pleasing voice, plus his vividness of his expressions, and his lack of reticence in giving the intimate and interesting details, are other traits which help to make the Thoracic a lively companion. The lure of spontaneity. The most beloved people in the world are the spontaneous. We lead such drab lives ourselves and keep back so much. We like to see a little Niagara of human emotion occasionally. The Thoracic feels everything keenly. Life's experience makes vivid record on the sensitive page of his mind. He puts them on the repertoire that is himself and proceeds to run them off for your entertainment. Sometimes a bubbler. A constant stream of talk must have been first set in describing this type. For while others are carefully guarding their real feeling and thoughts, the Thoracic goes merrily on relieving himself of this. More sedate and somber types call the Thoracic bubbler or spouters, just for this reason. The incessant talker. "That person's talk gets on my nerves" is a remark often made by one of the staid, stiff type concerning the seldom silent, extremely florid individual. So natural is this to the Thoracic that he is entirely unconscious of the wearing effect he has on other people. A sense of humor. Seeing the funny side of everything is a capacity which comes more naturally to this type than to others. This is due to the psychological fact that nothing is truly humorous save what is slightly out of plumb. Real humor lies in detecting and describing that intangible quirk. No type has the sensitiveness essential to this in any such degree as the Thoracic. Individuals of other types sometimes possess a keen sense of humor. This trait is not confined to the Thoracic, but it is a significant fact that almost every humorist of note has had this type as the first or second element in his make-up. The human fireworks. "He is a skyrocket" or "she is a firefly" are phrases often used to describe that vivacious individual whose adeptness as repartee puts the rest of the crowd in the background. These people are always largely or purely Thoracic. They never belong predominantly to the fourth type. The next time you find such a person, note how his eyes flash, how his color comes and goes, and the many indescribable gradations of voice which make him the center of things. "He is always shooting sparks," said a man recently in describing a florid, high-chested friend. Never doubt calmly. His line may not interest you, but the Thoracic himself is usually interesting. He is an actual curiosity to the quiet, inexpressive people who never can fathom how he managed to talk so frankly and so fast. Such a person is seldom dull. He is everything from a condiment to a cocktail and has the same effect on the average group of more or less drab personalities. Lives in the heights and depths. Glad one moment and sad the next is the way the ticker would read if it could make a record of the inner feelings of the average Thoracic. These feelings often come and go without his having the least notion of what causes them. Ordinarily, these unaccountable moods are due to sensations reaching his subconscious mind, of which no cognizance is taken by his conscious processes. Called intuitive. This ability to get things, to respond quickly with his physical reaction while devoting his mental ones to something else, has obtained for this type the reputation of possessing more intuition than others. Sources of hunches. That there is no such thing as intuition in the odd sense of getting a hunch from the outside is now agreed by psychologists. The thing we have called intuition, they maintain, is not due to irregular or supernatural causes, but to our own normal natural mental processes. The impression that he gets this knowledge or suspicion